Hello YouTubers, and welcome back to my channel. Do you know that this week, some Filipinos will be celebrating the anniversary of 1986 EDSA Revolution? This event is also known as the 1986 People Power. Depending on which side you are, this week will be a very special for you. Because if you are an anti-government activist, or a communist left-winger, this week will remind you that 38 years ago, you, or your family member, or your friend, who came out to support the revolution. This is your victory week. Have you ever wondered, what have you really achieved from being a participant on that memorable week of crisis? Do you think it was worth it? But first, if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Philippine economy.
The Philippines under the presidency of Ferdinand Marcos Jr. have so far seen many economic and social developments such as public housing, and then the continuation of the massive infrastructure developments that was started by the former President Duterte, known as the Build. Now under the Marcos administration, it is now known as the Build Better More programs. It's designed to help boost the Philippine economy and attract more foreign investors and help provide more employment to Filipinos. The Philippine economy have so far grew with an average of 5.6%, which is the fastest growing economy in Southeast Asia. And the country is targeting between 6 to 7% growth this year 2024. The Philippines may achieve the fully developed country status within the next 15 to 20 years, if the current growth pace continued and sustained. Meanwhile, living and working in the Philippines have also improved drastically. In fact, the country continues to attract more foreign investors and tourists coming over to the country to explore and enjoy the wonder of the 7,600 plus islands that can offer the magical tropical world in Asia. Indeed, despite the negative cause of economic hardships worldwide, due to the increase of world oil prices, the war in Ukraine, and the brewing war in the Pacific, specifically in South China Sea, and the possible Chinese invasion of Taiwan, the Philippines continue to enjoy the positive growth in economy. Also, the security situation in the Philippines have drastically changed since 2016. Both the communist and Islamic terrorisms have died down, compared from the past years. Many of them have folded back to normal lives, encouraged by the government's effective amnesty program. It wasn't anything like the one that was placed more than 30 years ago during the first Aquino presidency, when thousands of communist rebels who was given amnesty did not continue to make peace with the government and the program was deemed ineffective because it wasn't sustainable, and the former program was truly flawed. In the other developments in the country, the massive war on drugs that was first posted by the former President Duterte have so far resulted in positive ways since the new Marcos administration started. This is a contradiction to some Filipinos who have thought that the country went back to zero. While it's true that many of those organized crime groups have attempted to continue their illicit activities in the country during the first few months of the Marcos presidency last year, but in fact, it was immediately dealt with the iron fists of both the Philippine National Police, together with the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, the National Bureau of Investigation, the National Intelligence Cooperation Agency, and with the help of the Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP, quietly. Because the present administration of President Marcos believes in human rights, and it is against in his national policy to have the country's several government security agencies with its law enforcement, PNP, and its military, to commit violation and abuse the human rights. Like his father, the late Ferdinand E. Marcos Sr., who have posted the same policies during his 20-year terms, and during the period of martial law.
Philippine political landscape. As the Philippines went through a long political instability during the height of the martial law, in the 70s throughout the mid-2000s, even long after the 1986 revolution. The Philippines have been fighting at two fronts, one against the communist rebellion and the other, against the Islamic secessionists. Former President and the late Fidel Valdez Ramos, who was also the spearhead and martial law administrator, was accused with several human rights violations, have escaped justice. He was granted an amnesty in exchange of his support for the first Aquino administration. At that time, former revolutionary president and the late Corazon Aquino have accused the Marcoses with 1,000 charges with graft and corruption. The late President Ferdinand Marcos, who wished to come home after him and his family was exiled in Hawaii in 1986, and wanted to face all the accusations against him. But Cory Aquino refused his entry to the country. However, the Marcoses have been acquitted at a New York courthouse in 1991, 2 years after he died in 1989. Cory Aquino herself had faced 7 military mutinies during her term because of her incompetency, who lost a lot of support from her own administration. She was gonna be detained by an attempted military junta if it wasn't because of the United States military intervention, by flying a lone F-4 Phantom jet to scare the rebel planes. That was requested by no other than Cory Aquino. Since then, the Philippines have suffered a long and huge setbacks after setbacks, and was lagged behind their Asian neighbors. Mainly due to the first Aquino administration, who have failed to implement an effective governance, and grossly ignored the Marcoses' economic reform programs, that was designed for economic recovery. And with her 1987 constitutional amendments that gave foreign investors restrictions to invest in the country. From there on, unemployment rate increases, more families went below the poverty line, crime rate in the country have also increased. And then with the problems of the insurgency against Islamic and communist terrorisms. Various organized crime groups have scarred the country, with the illegal drugs keep coming in together with different drug cartels from China to South America. The graft and corruption in the Philippines just gotten worse, since Ferdinand Marcos Sr. was ousted from the power, who won 3 consecutive presidential elections during his time. Only then, when the former President Rodrigo Duterte won the presidential election in 2016, that the country's political, social, and economic turmoils have improved. Finally, the country's taxes that was underutilized by the previous administrations have been used to develop the country's infrastructures. In fact, those infrastructure projects were actually already been planned during the martial law, but was discontinued and shelved by the previous administrations after 1986. Thanks to former President Duterte, who finally managed to revive them under the Build program, with minor adjustments. That helped the economy dramatically. Former President Duterte won. Because majority of the Filipinos have been longing to have a strong leadership that's comparable to former President Marcos Sr., who was hailed as the best president the Philippines ever had. According to the majority of the Filipinos. And from various independent polls. Tourism. President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. has approved the government's National Tourism Development Plan 2023 to 2028, which seeks to make the Philippines a tourism powerhouse. Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco announced this new development on Tuesday, following a sectoral meeting led by the president in Malacanang. Frasco said the plan, which will serve as the blueprint and development framework for the tourism industry, results from consultations among stakeholders nationwide. The National Tourism Development Plan lays down the 7 objectives of the DOT that focuses on the essential pillars of development, which in our view would be able to give the Philippines a fighting chance at becoming a tourism powerhouse, she said in a palace briefing. Frasco said the plan addresses essential issues in tourism development, including the development of infrastructure, connectivity, digitalization, the equalization of tourism development, and enhancement of the overall tourism experience, as well as the strengthening of tourism governance. Continue to push for tourism across our regions and provinces, she said. She said the DOT will launch in a few short weeks the Philippine Experience, which Frasco said will reintroduce the heart and soul of the Filipinos. In 2023, the Philippine Department of Tourism under the Marcos administration displayed remarkable resilience and achieved significant milestones, demonstrating the transformative progress of the country's tourism sector. The successful breach of year-end targets is a testament to the Philippines' growing appeal as a global destination. This period saw over 5 million international visitor arrivals and a substantial increase in tourism receipts, amounting to PHP 439.50 billion. The number of visitors to the Philippines has topped the 5 million mark during 2023, surpassing a target of 4.8 million for the year. South Korea ranks first as the top source market with 1.3 million arrivals, followed by the US, Japan, China and Australia. As a country that relies heavily on air connectivity, with 99% of tourist arrivals attributed to air travel, the Department of Tourism hopes to draw 7.7 million foreign visitors in 2024, marking a 50% increase over 2023 numbers. To achieve this goal, the DOT has put several objectives in place to meet President Bongbong Marcos's ambition of transforming the Philippines into a tourism powerhouse in Asia. It aims to grow niche markets, increase arrivals related to meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions, and expand film and heritage tourism. Set a key target within the National Tourism Development Plan was to improve international connectivity. Aside from our more key markets, we're still pushing for European markets, he said. I think more connectivity from Europe is one we would like to target, including Germany, France, and the UK. To boost U.S. connections, Philippine Airlines recently launched a code-share partnership with American Airlines. As part of the agreement, Philippine Airlines has placed its PR code on American's flights between Los Angeles and 7 U.S. cities: Atlanta, Denver, Houston, Las Vegas, Miami, Orlando and Washington, D.C. Philippine military. Meanwhile, the Philippine military was one of the first victims of rampant corruptions, and was grossly neglected by the following administrations after 1986. During the presidency of the late Fidel Ramos, he restarted the armed forces of the Philippines modernization program in 1995. However, the sources of the funds that was gonna be used to purchase the new military hardwares have mysteriously ended up in the country's general funds, and have been misused under the watch of Fidel Ramos. On top of this, the 1998 financial flu have hit the Philippine economy so hard. Several years after, and all the way to the early years of 2000, several attempts to start the AFP modernization by the following administrations of Irap Estrada and Macapagal Arroyo. Only the second Aquino administration have actually seen some success to finally restart the AFP modernization that was divided to 3 horizons. Since then, the presidency of Duterte have continuously implemented the AFP modernization. Unfortunately, the funds for the AFP modernization had to be redirected to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic, from 2020 to 2021. Effectively delaying several of the modernization programs of the military. In 2023, the economy slowly recovered, and with the threat of Chinese invasion of Taiwan, have forced the presidency of Marcos Jr. to extend the Horizon 3, and made revisions. Under the Horizon 3, the last phase of the AFP modernization program will focus on external threat and territorial defense. Today, the Philippine Air Force have 1 squadron of South Korean-made FA-50, 6 Turkish-made attack helicopter gunships, 6 Brazilian-made light attack Tucano aircraft, 15 Polish-made S-70 Blackhawks, and 32 more have been ordered. 4 U.S.-made C-130 Hercules transport aircraft, and several other short to medium-range transport planes, about 1 squadron of Italian-made AW-109 gunships, and 2 British-made anti-submarine helicopters. However, the Air Force is still in final talks with Sweden in regards of their JAS-39 Gripen multi-role fighter aircraft. The Philippine Air Force have ordered a squadron of the said fourth-generation planes. The Philippine Navy have 2 South Korean-made missile frigates, and 2 more missile corvettes have been ordered. They also have 2 Tarlac-class multi-role vessels or landing craft platforms, and 2 more of these are being ordered from Indonesia. The rest are just old patrol vessels from United States such as the BRP Andres Bonifacio class OPVs. Although, the Philippine Navy is also eyeing 2 to 3 submarines. But the most eye-catching here is the Philippine Marine's new Indian-made BrahMos, supersonic anti-ship missiles, and it was reported that they ordered 100 warheads from India and are slated to be delivered by March of this year, 2024. The Navy also have a squadron of fast attack missile boats from Taiwan and Israel, and they have plans to build more of these at a local shipyard located in Cavite. Lastly, the Philippine Army are now equipped with 3 batteries of Israeli-made Spider surface-to-air missiles, and 20 new light tanks from Israel as well. Together with about 500 more several types of armored vehicles and APCs. Overall, the Philippine military have a bright future under the leadership of President Marcos Jr. Conclusion. Nevertheless, if you are against the EDSA Revolution, either you were a supporter of the Marcoses or not. Why do you think that 1986 revolution was one of the darkest days ever happened in the Philippines? Because Cory Aquino promised the Filipino people that she's going to change the Philippines, but she changed our country in a wrong way. By Mike Billington, from his book, The Economic Hit Men Shultz and the Hit Men Destroyed the Philippines, dated December 24, 2004. The popular memory of Ferdinand Marcos today, in the US and in the Philippines, is largely shaped by the massive disinformation campaign created in the early 1980s by the circles around then-Secretary of State Shultz and his deputy Paul Wolfowitz. Marcos was accused of corruption, human rights violations, plunder, and even the murder of a political opponent, Benigno Aquino, and this caricature is repeated ad nauseam still today. The recent presidential election last 2022, that won by Ferdinand Marcos Jr., with 31 million Filipinos voted for him, have proved to the world that even the massive disinformation campaign conducted by the anti-Marcos community did not inflict a single dent to those 31 million Filipino supporters who are now more educated and properly informed by facts. Despite positive strides in debt relief, domestic security and economic growth, Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s first year in office saw its share of challenges. Allegations of corruption, disunity within his alliance and potential military unrest threatened to overshadow his achievements. Rice price caps and public transport strikes also undermined the government's progress in 2023. Moving forward, focusing on reform and avoiding political infighting will be crucial for forging a positive legacy. With Marcos's leadership, the country should focus on political stability and maintain its excellent relationship with the military. With a threat of war looming in the horizon off the South China Sea and in the Taiwan Strait, the armed forces of the Philippines should waste no time in modernizing their capabilities. It's just unfortunate that the country had to go through this uneasy situation, if it wasn't because of the previous incompetent administrations prior to the Duterte presidency. Had the AFP never been neglected, the Philippines will most likely not being threatened. And it will be the Chinese naval ships and its militias be the one avoiding any conflict with their ASEAN neighbors. Today, the Philippines has become the next tiger economy in Asia, with a very strong leadership from its government run by President Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte as their vice president. The country is now on its way to become a first world nation.
Do you agree?
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed our today's episode. And if you like my video, please don't forget to subscribe and help my channel to grow. Thank you all for watching and to all your support. Until next time, goodbye.
It's caught in the crossfire.